Hey everyone, and welcome back to Fearless and Undefined. And on this episode of Super Queens, I have a very special guest who sees the world a little bit differently. She doesn't take no for an answer. She takes it and says, "How can I? How can we do this?" And her confidence is just so inspiring, and I can't wait for all of you guys to meet her. So let's go see if she's ready. Hi!
Right.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Why don't you tell everyone just a little bit about yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Ailee Dixon. I am currently Miss Urbana Volunteer here in Maryland, and I am 26 years old. And something that kind of puts me apart from most people in general, not just the other contestants, is I just so happen to be blind. Even though I know I look like your normal, like 20-ish year old, I can't see. I only see like light and glitter and metallic things.
I love, wow. Well, I'm so glad we get to talk today. Tell me, when did your pageant journey start?
So I started pageants only last year. Um, However, I first got when I was in and out of hospital for most of my life, but specifically from 12 to 18, I was paralyzed and in a wheelchair. I was fully paralyzed from an autoimmune disease, and it took the 5 years to learn how to walk again. But throughout that time, I was in children's hospitals. I met many local, state, and national title holders through being in the hospital. And the 1 year Miss Maryland made me red velvet cupcakes, which at the time was my favorite cupcake. When I could finally eat again after 2 years of not being able to eat, worst 2 years of my life. And she brought me Chick-fil-A. She came to my first PT session when I started the walk again. It really helped kind of rework my brain to the way that I viewed pageant girls in general. I was like, okay, so it's not this, because I was just a child myself. They're not the stereotypical, like there is more there. And from that point on, I always wanted to compete, but I was too sick to compete at the time. And then by the time I was healthy enough, I had lost my vision at that point, and I was like, oh, now I just can't compete. And it was only until a year ago I was like, wait, so how can I, you know, that I believed I could compete, but how do we make it accessible for me to actually be able to compete in pageants? Because I was like, is it something that I think I'm going to regret if I don't even attempt it? And I was like, yes, I think it's something I'm going to look back on and be like, I wish I had just been a little bit more brave to do that. So here I am.
I love that. What about pageantry has impacted your life so far in just the short year that you've started doing this?
So I already did. The main reason I chose to like go into pageantry is because I was in nursing school when I became blind, and I was told by my professors that I would be seen as a liability even if I managed to get my degree, and that basically I should go ahead and drop out. And at the time I was already struggling to afford my degree, so I did, because I didn't want to get a degree I wouldn't be able to use. So my A, B, and C plan went out the window. So I was like, okay, what do I want to do long term for work? And I was like, well, I would love to do advocacy and kind of like marketing and go into corporations and nonprofits to teach them how to be more accessible for disability, whether it be for their social media or their products in general, how to be more mindful of individuals with disabilities. And even over my year of doing pageants, I have been able to partner with Microsoft. And next month, I've been asked to speak at the Microsoft Ability Summit, so I'll be going to Seattle, Washington for that, to Microsoft's headquarters. So I'm incredibly excited for that, because I'm helping. Well, I reached out to them on LinkedIn, and since then, I've been helping them make higher math accessible to the blind and visually impaired, because currently our software, like the screen readers, they don't read higher math symbols. It thinks it's like a Russian or Slavic language and reads it in another language. It doesn't even think it's math in general. So I'm incredibly happy to be able to shape the future blind individuals, because right now STEM is taken completely out of the curriculum for blind individuals. So that way, blind individuals and disabled individuals as a whole can be seen as leaders and not liabilities, is my overall goal just in life
I
in
love
general.
that. Let me just tell you, it's not just the blind that reader affects. I always had some type of reader for my dyslexia. And there were always some either words or phrases or even like a comma that something in the sentence that would make it just go haywire. And it was so weird. I'm like, this is hard to focus when it's just messing up. And then I have to try and figure it out, or I have to ask someone else, like, hey, tell me what this word is. So that's awesome that you're getting to do that. Oh my goodness. Um, so what does it look like for you when you're performing on a stage with your cane, and how does that really affect your modeling?
So that is actually why I decided going into, I think it was like my second or third pageant, I was like, I need a coach. I need somebody that already knows how to pageant walk, and then we can incorporate like my white tipped cane, because obviously with pageant walking, there is a certain walk, right? Well, with using a white tipped cane, there is also a certain walk. It's like if your left foot is forward, your cane is swiping your right side. So you know if the path is clear to put your next foot forward. So there's even like a gait kind of walking with the cane. So combining the two was certainly a challenge. And then like I was like, how do you make a cane elegant? Like how do you make it look, but oh my God, did my coach make it look sassy right off the bat? She was like, I don't know if I could coach you. At first, she was like, you need to find somebody that specializes in this. I was like, there is no one. This doesn't exist for white tipped canes. I was like, I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for someone willing to try. And from that point, she was like, okay, you know what? Let's try this. And I loved that based off of what I said. She was like, okay, you know what? You changed my mind, because a lot of people, even if they're like, you know what, you have a point, they stick with what they originally said. So I really love that she was really willing to hear me and work with me. And she made it look sassy right off the bat. I'm like, there's no way I'm the first blind person that you've like taught this to. Because I gave her my bedazzled white tipped cane to practice with when we were in the room. I had my normal white tipped cane, and there was a reason I gave her the bedazzle, because it was so sassy. But that was one of the challenges. And one of my biggest fears with the pageant was actually falling off the stage. I was so afraid, because all I have is light perception. So those lights in my face, I can't see, because that's all I see is the light. And I'm just like, but they put traction tape on the stage, so I know where to stop. So my cane hits the traction tape, and I can stop, and it doesn't disrupt the other girls walking. It's not like something sticking up. It's something that's flat that has bumps.
That is awesome. I think I saw that in the video that I found you, and I was like, there's black tape on the floor, and I'm betting anything that's how she finds where to stop. And let me just say, it sounds like it might have been a challenge figuring it out, but watching your modeling on stage, it was so beautiful and elegant, especially your gown walk. Like, you made it look beautiful and elegant and professional, even having your cane with you. And I was like, this girl's an inspiration, and I need to talk to her. So, oh my gosh,
Oh,
that's
thank you.
amazing. And I'm so glad that the pageant was like, yes, let's do it. And I feel like more pageants need to be more accommodating to certain things like that. That way, if we are, we can expand the pageant world even bigger than it is right now and get more and more girls involved. I love it.
Yeah, I think part of it is people don't see themselves represented, so they believe that they cannot do it because they feel like the odd one out, whatever that may be. It's because they might be like, well, I don't dress that way, or I don't act that way, or because of my disease, I can't do that. Like I thought I couldn't because of my blindness. Instead of, well, how do we just make it accessible? So it's been a really awesome experience, and I've been able to like connect with a lot of individuals in the community, even a little girl whose parents are deaf and blind, and she immediately fell in love with me when she saw me, because it was like me representing her parents, and it was an amazing moment, and I left there just crying because I was like, this is why I decided to do this, and I was in tears the entire night.
I feel like a lot of us out there that start pageantry, we start it for ourselves and for confidence, and then we see the little ones that look up to us and realize they're why we do this, because someone somewhere is looking up to you saying, man, I want to be her when I grow up. And I feel like
Yeah.
there are a lot of girls that are going to be looking at you saying, I can do it if she can do it.
Yeah, and I've always said I want to be the person I wish I had at the start of my journey of being sick and doubting myself, and now I just say that I have to have blind confidence, um, literally blind confidence to run into the wall, because I think it's like a foot to the left, but it's actually right in front of me. It happens far too often. Or just the confidence to do something that it would even be scary for a sighted individual, but even more so for someone that is blind. But it's like, I don't want to live the rest of my life in fear. I still have a full life ahead of me, and I want to be able to live it to the fullest degree.
I love that. Do you ever feel nervous that a judge may like think differently of you?
This was something that I thought about a lot when I was starting. Is I was afraid I either would never win because I'm blind, or I'd get the pity win
Yeah.
because I am disabled. I thought either one could happen, which is why I was actually very relieved that I lost my first pageant. But I won the Miss Congeniality Award, which meant a lot to me because that's picked by your peers, and they see when you're stressed, they see when you're tired, they see when you kind of like let yourself relax a little bit in the
Yeah.
different phases of yourself. So to still be picked for that award meant a lot to me. In every pageant I've competed in, I have continued to get that award, every single one.
I've won that a few
And
times, and honestly, to me, that feels better than a crown because that
yes,
shows your heart and your love for others.
yes, I 100%, I 100% agree with that. But I was very nervous, and sometimes I still am, about them being like, well, this hasn't been seen before. Like, how will this work? But one of the biggest people I point to that anything can happen is Heather Whitestone, Miss America in 1995. She was deaf and she won. I'm sure there were a lot of questions if she could do it and how well of a job. But if we don't try, we'll never know. Worst case scenario is we find out that I can't, and first runner up gets it. However, to that I say that I've done over 30 appearances in the last year, and I have not had to turn down a single one because of my disability. So I don't think I would have any difficulties.
I love that. Have you ever had like a chance to like talk to any type of judge after the pageant and just like get feedback, or has that not been like possible like in the types I sometimes I get a chance to talk to judges after pageants, and sometimes they like book it out of there before people get a chance to talk.
Yeah, the problem is I don't know what they look like. So I
Mm,
can't really like eye them down and like be like, hey, a quick question,
yeah.
unless they start a conversation with me. So I haven't really been able to ask for feedback, and I really wish I could get feedback, because a
Yeah.
lot of the pageants don't give you feedback
They don't give comments
afterwards.
back.
No.
Man, I feel like next time you gotta have someone that just like flags them down and be like, okay, I need you, come on. Because I've done that so many times where I've like ran after a judge to be like, I need to talk to you. I need to hear what's going on. And honestly, not having comments sometimes, I feel like that does nothing because, at least in my eyes, criticism, that's how you get better. If you hear
Correct.
things like, oh, that color didn't look good on your skin tone, or maybe you should try a different hairstyle. I feel like those are the types of things that'll help you just continue to grow and grow and grow. But sometimes I feel like judges just want to get out of there fast, and then some I've had that will just like sit and talk and talk and talk, and I'm like, this is really helpful, like really helpful.
Mm.
Okay, so I gotta know, what is your talent? Because I know these systems have talents in them. What is yours?
So mine is a her story. So first off, I am a public speaker for a living, so I know I can talk, and I have a very inspiring story that gives a lot of hope to individuals. But I also want to. I always say that I want every single person to take away something from me competing in a whole. So I talk about universal design when it comes not just to the blind, but disability in general. For instance, there's the curb cut phenomenon, slanted sidewalk crossings that were designed for wheelchairs, but are also used by parents with strollers, kids on bikes, and travelers with suitcases. Texting was designed for the deaf. There's so much that we use on a daily basis that was designed for the disabled individuals. So why isn't all of this implemented everywhere? I'm currently talking to the mayor of where I live about making having accessible pedestrian signals a regulation, because with those are like the ones that beep at you and talk to you, because with electric cars becoming more and more manufactured and them being silent, it's becoming more dangerous for me to cross the street, because how a blind person knows when to cross the road is by listening to traffic. If I can't hear the car coming, then it's very dangerous. So it's no longer an individual issue, it's a community issue. So I've been very passionate and am now on the Frederick County Equity and Inclusion Commission. So I'm now a commissioner, which is still really crazy to say. But I'm hoping to make where I live the example that other counties look at when it comes in terms of universal design and what things like that can really do to make an individual feel more included, especially since Frederick is where the Maryland School of the Deaf is. So we really have no reason to not be more inclusive.
Wow, that is, you are just doing so many great things. Oh my goodness, I love it. No, I have at my college, we have those ones that speak, and I like to make them mad by pressing the button like 1,000 times until it just yells at me to say, wait. That's my favorite thing.
Sorry, that is hilarious. I've never done that before.
Oh no, I have, because if you press it more than enough times in a row, it'll just scream wait at you. But our bus system that we have here as well, they have I guess external speakers, and so there's like a giant beeping when it's turning, and it'll say buses turning. And you know, I'm at such a big university that we have all kinds of people, all kinds of disabilities, everything like that. And so I feel like my school, at least, is very accessible to almost anything. And you know, it's not like a little like bus turning, it's like a very loud, I can hear it if I'm on the phone with someone, bus turning. And I think that's always a great sign, because believe it or not, there are a lot of kids that just don't pay attention at all, even though they hear it. And that's always scary. So I always grew up to make sure, like, hey, nothing's coming. Wait for other people to go first, and then you go. I really hope that your town gets those speakers that they need for those stop signs, because I can't imagine trying to navigate outside and just listening. And those Teslas, they don't make any sounds. Like, it's honestly kind of scary that you won't see it coming. Okay.
Yeah.
Last question. What do you want to say to anyone out there who's scared to step on a pageant stage, whether they're blind or, you know, maybe paralyzed, something that would make them stand out? What do you want them to know?
Is that don't let anyone stop you from what you feel like you want to do, because there will always be the bad guy in your story, is what I always say, especially as a disabled individual that says, no, you can't do it. And it's like, well, I can. It's just I have to do it differently than you. It's kind of like how in math there's like 3 ways to solve a problem, and they all get to the same answer, but people just do them differently. That's how I see it, is we still get to the same outcome. So to not limit yourself because others limit you, to keep pushing for the possibility that you see in your head, because there's so many things that as a blind individual and as a disabled individual I have stopped myself from doing, and then either years later found out that I could do because I know how the world sees me. I know as a disabled individual, even though the ADA, American with Disabilities Act, was put into law 35 years ago, is we still have a long way to go of being seen as equals from everyone, and the amount of people that even believe I can do less because of my blindness, or say comments of, oh, you can't do that. I'm like, actually I can, and this is how. Like, I've been told I can't horseback ride, but I've done it several times now. That it's like there's just different safety precautions you take, and that's completely fine. It doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means those precautions have to be in place to make sure you're safe. Same thing in pageantry, is don't let anyone else be able to stop you, because really there's no reason to why you can't do it. And I've been very thankful to have amazing directors in the past that have stood up for me when other people in the pageant space have said, well, we don't know if she can compete. And their response was, oh, I wasn't asking for your permission. I was letting you know that she was competing. And I loved that response. I was like, you are my people. Okay, yes. I'm good. I feel a little bit more comfy now.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for talking with me today. I cannot wait to see all the good you do in your life, and I can't wait to see you on a pageant stage again. Your confidence is just so amazing, and honestly, I wish I could be more like you. There were a lot of times that I went through the I won't be good enough, and then I see girls like you that step on a stage with more confidence and your left pinky toe than I have in most of my body. And I'm like, man, if she can do anything, I can do anything. And I know there will be a bunch of little girls who will look at you or hear this video and be like, you know what, I can do anything too. So thank you so much for today.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciated having this talk.